the girth on those things. The girth. The girth on those bases. Alright, y'all. This is it. This is the beginning of our 2023 deer season here in North Carolina. Also, we only have one mic, so this will be passed back and forth. So we're going to go over, basically, we've created our own draft list, if you will, for our 2023 deer. And we're going to start with our number 3s. So we've each picked out 3 bucks that are on our kill list, and then we've got honorable mentions that we'll add in there in the very end. By the way, this is Jackson. He'll be making multiple appearances on this channel. We're in the works of getting him a camera. Maybe this year. Probably not. He just dropped all of his money on a brand new Phase 4. So the camera's probably out of the options for this year. But anyways, he'll be on this channel more times than not. So without further ado, I'm going to give y'all to Jackson. Let him tell you his number 3.
So when we were scouting back in, it was the beginning of July, we went to this one spot I had from last year. There was a small 10 there, a few other okay bucks. They were younger bucks, but we went back in there anyways, and we were able to find some 5 or 6 different good bucks. 2 of my hit list bucks are from that exact same spot. So my number 3 deer is a buck we call Droopy, and we call him that. He's kind of got a wicked rack, and then he's got one antler that looks like it just got bent down. A few pictures a few weeks later, that point had dropped off. I don't know if it was diseased or what it was. Anyways, he's still a good buck. Got a video of him on the camera, and he's been showing up, every 3 or 4 days. So, should be good come September.
Yeah, an unfortunate series of events that we are unknowing of is the reason that tine dropped off.
It's probably just rotten.
Yeah.
It's never going to make it.
We don't know if it started out droopy. Obviously it was caused by an injury, but I'm not sure if it was just completely broken. Because all we were getting was pictures. There was no video, so it was not like we could see if that tine had any movement to it. We were hoping that it would solidify up when he would shed his velvet, but unfortunately that is not the case. Alright, my number 3. I gotta go look, honestly. I've only gotten a picture of this deer once. 2 of my top 3 deer I've only received 1 picture of. So this deer showed up at 5:30 in the morning. He's just this big mainframe 7-point. Unfortunately, he did not grow his G3 on that right-hand side, left-hand side in the image, but he's just a good all-around buck, for public land. So nothing too special about him. He doesn't have a drop time like Jackson's does. The fact that Jackson's sitting there calling a drop time buck his number 3, even though it fell off.
It's not actually a drop time though. It's not going straight down.
He did drop it. He dropped that time.
He did drop it.
So,
but it's more bit down.
But still a solid deer. So excited for him. Hopefully I'll get more pictures of him. But as of right now, as we sit, I only have that 1 image of him.
My number 2 buck is going to be, we've just been calling him the palmated buck. It's at a spot that Ashley shot a buck last year. We were kind of feeling a little down on ourselves last year, and I went into this spot, and then the very next day had 4 or 5 half-decent bucks show up. I don't think we had a buck on camera up to that point when we were just kind of starting out last year. So then we went in there. He killed that buck there last year. So I wanted to go check it out again this year. We went in there, scouted some. This is a new camera location. It's probably 100 yards from where you killed that buck or so, maybe 150. But I only have one picture. He's only shown up once so far, so I really need to get back in there and do some more scouting and try to pinpoint him. Hopefully he's close by. His core area is close by to where I got that picture, but I need to get back up in there.
I uploaded a picture of that deer to my Chasing 125 TikTok, and that caused a outbreak of arguments in the comment section with other hunters. Some saying, "Who gives a shit? We'd kill the deer." I guess the assumption was that deer is on private, and all these deer are on public land. So, I mean, if you're watching this and you see some of these deer and you're thinking, "Oh, I'd give that deer another year," you know, certainly if we don't kill it, we hope that it lives to grow bigger the next year. But as it is all public game land hunting, it's extremely difficult and unpredictable to know whether or not these deer are going to live. So, but this deer, I mean, he's my guesstimate, and scores don't really matter, but I'm saying 130.
Yeah, it's hard to put a number on him because his rec is not very typical, so
yeah,
it's hard to guess.
My number 2 buck, again, I'm going back to these images. I take back what I said. All three of my top deer, I've only received one image of. They've only shown up once. 2 of them had daylighted. The other one showed up, obviously, at 5:30. This is my number 2. He's just a mainframe 8 that is extremely solid. He's just got great length on his G2s and G3s. His prowl times, decent. But also this deer showed up, so July 20th. And God knows how much he's grown. He's probably, I would imagine he's put on a few inches since then. And now that's starting to wind back down on growth. He's probably evened out. But there are a couple bucks that he was running with in those photos. Like, I got another photo of him, but he's like kind of pushed out after that initial photo, and he's running with a bachelor group of bucks. And several times I've gotten those bucks on other cameras in that same exact area, all still grouped up. He just has not made an appearance. There is one image, and it's of a deer that's standing like 30 yards past the deer that set off the camera, but he's a mainframe 8, and I think it's him, but honestly there's no real way of telling. But anyways,
so my number 1 buck that I want to kill this year is, we named him Roy.
Also, to piggyback off that, he's not named the Roy after Seek One.
He's not the Roy, he's just Roy.
Yeah, he's Roy. He's not the Roy. And that has zero correlation, so don't think that it does. We can't go into detail as to why he's named that. Anyways.
He's an 11-pointer. He's probably the biggest buck either of us have ever had on camera. Yeah. Close to it, if not one of them. But he was July, early August, he was at this camera every 2 days. Like, he was there all the time. He's kind of slacked off a little bit, and he hasn't been showing up so much recently. So I might need to go back in there and do some more scouting on him. If I get a chance at him this year, that'd be the ideal situation.
Last but certainly not least, we have Granddaddy Longlegs. I'm naming him that right now. Mainframe 8, but his main beams are the longest I've ever seen ever. I don't know how wide he is, because the pictures that I have of him is him walking from right to left, and he's never facing the camera. So that's impossible to tell, but his main beams are massive, and the girth on those things, the girth on those bases is probably as thick as his ears. I mean, he's just got mass. Not like the palomated buck, but he's got it, and he's definitely my number one. Unfortunately, once again, like I said earlier, that's the only picture I have of that deer. And he showed up at 1 p.m. Why? I still have yet, if anybody would like to comment what they think that deer was doing. Was he going to go bed? Was he getting up from his bed? Who knows? That camera that I have set up is probably 60, 70 yards away from bedding that we found. And then where he was walking to, there's bedding probably 60 or 70 yards on the other side of that camera. So he was either coming from beds or he was going to bed. I don't know. All I know is that there's not a lot of room for error in getting in there to kill that deer, so I'm going to have to figure it out. Maybe put another camera out there, or I don't really know how I'm going to kill that deer. He's got me puzzled right now, especially with only showing up once, which honestly I want to say that we don't hunt locations based off of what our cameras are picking up. Like, obviously, we have cameras out there in order to know what kind of deer we're actually working with. Because, like every deer hunter, we're out there to kill, obviously, the biggest buck. You can't eat the horns, but it doesn't matter. We're still out there to kill the biggest deer. So, I'm still going to hunt that area. I'm just going to have to be really smart about it as it is a tight, I mean, there's bedding areas on either side of where that camera is. There's not much sign of them leaving that area right now. I mean, they've got food, they've got water, they've got cover, they got it all right there. So that might be a deer that I'm going to have to really target come the rut, and I might just leave him off and just not hunt back in there for the time being. Unless he starts daylighting every day, because if he does at that camera and he starts showing that he's moving consistently through there, and I can start to actually figure out where all he's going to make an attack move. But other than that, I'm probably not going to go in there for a while. So that's my number one. But we have honorable mentions. So once again, I'm going to give it back to Jackson. He's got
A lot of
too many honorable mentions. Honorable mentions that any man hunting public, especially in the eastern part of the U.S., the southeastern part, would be absolutely enamored with, even on private. So,
obviously going to try to kill the biggest buck, but these aren't bad deer either, and I'd be happy with shooting one of those too. There's a mainframe 8, I think, that's really, really wide. He's over with the 11-pointer and the droopy buck. There's a mainframe 10 also. That's a little small. I would like to give him another year. I think he could blow up next year and be a hammer of a buck. There was one other decent buck running with a palmated buck also. Only got one nighttime picture of him.
Yeah, he's a stud.
Yeah, he's nice. It's just I don't have a bead on him. So
yeah,
I've got a pretty good bead on this other spot with the 11-pointer and the droopy buck. That's probably going to be my main focus as long as the wind is right and I can get in there undetected.
All right, last honorable mention. I only have one. It is this big 7-point, super tall, nothing crazy, but is it just a cool looking deer. So, if I start to get discouraged, I'll probably go in and smoke his ass. With all this, we're super excited. Again, it's not about the antlers.
It's about that.
But it is about the antlers, if that makes sense. We're just out here trying to kill the most mature deer that we possibly can on public land, all while having fun. But a couple of updates. We have established our dates. We are going to South Dakota October 12th through the 21st.
Yeah, I think the 21st.
Coming back the 21st.
I think that's a Saturday, or that might be Friday. Start driving back on Friday.
No, we're hunting Friday. We have to hunt Saturday morning.
Okay.
So the 22nd. We'll start our departure back the 22nd. But anyways, we'll be spending 9 to 10 days in South Dakota with another one of our buddies, Reed. We all three have any buck tags, so muley or whitetails. Obviously, we're not going out there to shoot a whitetail. If it comes down to it and we find a shooter whitetail.
If there's a big whitetail, I mean, I would shoot them. I would like to kill a muley just because I never have, but
yeah,
a nice whitetail.
And then me and Reed have pronghorn tags, which, depending on the numbers that we see, if it just becomes a mule deer fest, I would not be surprised. If you weren't convinced to stick around, at least come back for that. Also, check out my TikTok. There's a few of y'all that have found my TikTok and have followed the TikTok back to this YouTube channel. So I appreciate all y'all that have joined along. Follow the Instagram too. You'll know what we're killing and you'll know what we're seeing way before any of these videos come out, just because it takes time to edit. So if we kill a deer, it'll be on the Instagram. Yeah, that's all I got for y'all.